It's the 22nd of May 1971 and a group of young Irish women are planning a news event.
A very easy story for the international media to do: woman, sex, Catholic Church, Catholic State. It was what they call a sexy story.
Nell McCafferty, a young journalist with the Irish Times, was one of the founders of the Irish Women's Liberation Organisation.
We had 5 demands. Our very first demand was contraception. We'd heard of this magic thing called the pill. We decided that the legalisation of contraceptive would immeasurably improve the situation of Irish women.
At the time, the Republic of Ireland was a very conservative country. The Catholic Church had a huge influence, and the importation, sale or distribution of contraceptives was illegal. A doctor could only prescribe the contraceptive pill if a married woman had an irregular menstrual cycle. Consequently, women had large numbers of children.
The nightmare of unremitting pregnancy. It was normal to have 6 or more children within marriage. If you had any children outside of marriage, you were incarcerated in mother and baby homes called the Magdalene homes, run by the nuns. You'd go in there, you'd have your baby, and the baby would be immediately adopted.
But across the border, in Northern Ireland, part of the United Kingdom, contraceptives were legally available. Nell came up with a plan.
The idea came up we should import contraceptives, break the taboo, break the ban. We decided to take a train to the north, get the contraceptives, bring them back. We would do it on what was called International Media Day. We thought it would be a great opportunity for publicity. The 12 of us who formed the hardcore of the movement discussed it. Some of us decided to introduce contraceptives in such a way would be to get us all a bad name. Some of the members thought, if you're going north, it must be married women only. They're entitled to contraception. It'll seem more reasonable. Loads of people are having sex outside of marriage. But no, it's contraceptives for everybody. So we had a split.
In the event, some of the group refused to take part. But Nell and over 40 married and unmarried women boarded a train on a Saturday morning to travel 150 kilometres to Belfast.
This was in the days before mobile phones. We had no means of communicating with the South to know how we were doing. We knew that Maureen de Burgh was going to organise a welcome home reception that night. She refused to come on the train because she thought the contraceptive should be confined to married women only. And off we went to Belfast, accompanied by some of the world's media. Because I'd lived in the north, I was at ease. The 40 women we were with were nervous. There were bombs, bullets, deaths going on.
That Saturday, though, Belfast was calm and quiet. Nell gave the women instructions.
Right now we're going to split up into groups. Some people want to go to the family planning clinic. Some people who will then go on to the chemist shop. The shopping centre is down to your left and the riots are over that way.
They headed to the pharmacy across the road. But although Nell was 27, she didn't even know what contraceptives looked like.
We'd never seen these things. We hadn't done our homework. And I was a spokeswoman for the group. And I walk up and I said, Mister, we'd all like the pill, please. He said, you need a doctor's prescription for the pill. Nobody told me that. But I'd heard of other things. I said, well then, I would like the coil. He said, certainly, where's your prescription? I said, OK, I'd like the loop, because I knew one of my friends had one of these things. He said, certainly, where's your prescription? And I said, Mister, what can we have? And he looked at me and said, what would you like? I didn't know. But one of our group was a woman called June Levine, distinguished on many fronts. First, she was Jewish. Second, she was married. Third, she was divorced. Got a divorce in Canada. She was a woman of the world. She was cheeky and she was confident and glamorous. And I turned around and I said, June, are you there? Come on over here. And June stepped forward and crisply gave instructions to the man on what we needed. Contraceptive jelly, condoms. And then I realised the customs men hadn't seen a contraceptive. And I ordered hundreds of packets of aspirin with the intention that we'd strip the aspirin out of the packets, put them into brown paper bags, say to the customs men, these are our contraceptive pills and you're not getting them.
Loaded up with condoms and pills, the group prepared to return home. They hoped that the customs officers at the station in Dublin would then confront them and that the confrontation would make the headlines.
We'd prepared to this extent. We drew up statements to hand out to whoever might come forward to arrest us. You go up to the customs man, declare your contraceptives, refuse to hand them over, refuse to be searched. We knew we faced jail, and when we got across the border, we're beginning to panic a little bit. Will we hold our jobs? It's one thing being a radical journalist, another thing breaking the law and being arrested and carried off to jail. Some of them were slightly apprehensive. What will their husbands say? A lot of us worried about what our mothers would say. I felt that northern papers wouldn't report what's happening in the south, so my mother would never read about me. I'd forgotten there'd be northern television. And then I realised it's not that we're afraid of what our mothers will say. What we're afraid of is what will our fathers say to our mothers. How will they take it out on them? It's never your mother you're afraid of. It's how your father might punish her.
The train arrived back in Dublin.
By now our hearts are thumping, because who wants to go to jail? And we get out of the train, and there were about 5 or 6 customs men standing, waiting for people to declare their contraband. They didn't even say anything to declare. They weren't going to do anything. We could have walked past, but we didn't. We stood in front of them. Maureen Johnson, again one of the founder group, and Maureen steps up and said, I have here contraceptive jelly for my belly. And he said, you're not getting it. And the rest of it was just our aspirin. These are our contraceptive pills, you're not getting
3 packets of Durex. I'm handing these over under protest as infringement on my constitutional rights. I refuse to give it to you. I have a right to keep it. I bought it and it's mine.
Suddenly we heard these great joyful calls about 30 yards way up the platform. The supporters, there's about 1,000, maybe more. And they're all shouting, let them go, set them free. And they're singing, we shall overcome. We threw the condoms over the heads of the customs officer to the crowds. We swept up the platform, tossing the aspirin in their little bags over the barriers.
Encouraged by the reception they had received, Nell led the crowd to the nearest police station.
And I addressed all the women, and indeed there were many men there too, our supporters. And I waved my contraband and said, here we are, the law is obsolete, we have broken it, the police should come out and arrest us. Come on out and arrest us, I said, come out and play it. They would not come near us. I was kind of relieved, because I got to look heroic without being arrested.
The actions of the women were condemned by some priests in churches the next day, and it was brought up in the Irish Parliament the following Monday.
People's minds changed. It was like flipping an electric switch. Once it goes on, and that light goes on in your head, it never goes off again. The people, on the whole, said, this is a good idea, this pill. Men thought, God, this means you can have sex without nightmares. Women thought, thank God, no more babies, no more Magdalene homes. We won't have 6, 7, 8, 9 children. We changed the world. We were the start of the biggest revolution of Ireland, separating church and state.
But it wasn't until 9 years later, in 1980, that the law was changed to allow the sale of contraceptives, and only with a medical prescription. In 1985, the sale of condoms was permitted without a prescription. Nell McCafferty is still working as a journalist in Ireland.